Daddy Lumba Funeral Dispute, Accra High Court adjourns injunction case. When a legend passes away, the world usually unites in grief. But sometimes, grief becomes complicated. Today's story is not only about mourning the loss of a music icon, it's also about family disagreements, legal battles, and the struggle over how a legend should be remembered. The late Ghanaian music legend Daddy Lumba, a name that shaped decades of highlife music, is now at the center of a growing controversy. A dispute over his funeral plans has reached the Accra High Court, where an injunction case seeking to halt certain funeral arrangements has been filed. The court has now adjourned the case, leaving fans, family members, and the public waiting for answers. Why is there a dispute over the funeral of such a beloved figure? Who filed the injunction? And what does this legal battle mean for the legacy of one of Ghana's most influential musicians? Today, we break down the entire story. To understand why this dispute has captured national attention, we first need to understand the man at the center of it. Daddy Lumba, born Charles Kwadwofosu, is widely regarded as one of the greatest highlife musicians in Ghana's history. His music career spanned decades. From the 1980s through the 2000s and beyond, Lumba produced countless hit songs that became part of Ghana's cultural identity. Some of his most famous songs include classics that dominated radio stations and nightclubs across West Africa. What made him special wasn't just his voice. It was his storytelling. His songs often touched on love, life struggles, social commentary, spiritual reflection. Generations grew up listening to his music. Many fans consider him not just a musician, but a national treasure. So when news about disputes surrounding his funeral surfaced, the reaction from fans was immediate. People began asking, why would there be conflict over honoring such a respected figure? When news broke about the passing of Daddy Lumba, the music world went silent. Tributes poured in from across Africa and beyond. Fans shared memories. Celebrities posted condolences. Radio stations replayed his classic hits. It felt like the entire country paused to remember the man whose voice had defined an era. But behind the public mourning, tensions were beginning to grow. Questions started emerging about who would organize the funeral, where it would be held, how the ceremonies would take place. In Ghanaian culture, funerals are extremely important events. They are not just about burial. They are celebrations of life. They are moments when families, communities, and entire regions come together to honor someone's legacy. And when the person is a national icon like Daddy Lumba, the stakes become even higher. Soon after funeral discussions began, disagreements reportedly surfaced among people connected to the late musician. Different parties had different visions for how the funeral should be conducted. Some wanted a grand national farewell. Others had concerns about control over the arrangements. These disagreements eventually escalated. And instead of being resolved privately, the dispute moved into the legal arena. A request was filed at the Accra High Court seeking an injunction. An injunction is a legal order asking the court to stop certain actions until the dispute is resolved. In this case, the injunction sought to pause aspects of the funeral planning. The move shocked many fans. People began debating the situation across social media. Some supported the legal action. Others criticized it. Many simply hoped the matter would be resolved quickly. Because for fans, the most important thing was simple: giving Daddy Lumba the respectful farewell he deserves. The case eventually came before the Accra High Court. Lawyers representing the parties involved presented their arguments. The court was asked to review the request for an injunction related to the funeral arrangements. But instead of making an immediate decision, the court made a different move. The judge adjourned the case. An adjournment means the hearing was postponed to another date. This gave both sides more time to prepare their arguments. While adjournments are common in legal proceedings, this one had major public implications. Because the longer the legal battle continues, the longer the funeral plans remain uncertain. And for fans waiting to say goodbye, that uncertainty is painful. Although many people were shocked by the dispute, legal conflicts over funerals are actually more common than people realize. They often happen when families disagree about burial location. There are disputes over estate control. Cultural traditions clash with personal wishes. Public figures have complicated family structures. When someone is famous, these conflicts can become even more complicated. That's because there are often many stakeholders: family members, estate managers, government officials, fans, and cultural institutions. In some cases, governments even want to organize state funerals for national icons. This can create additional layers of negotiation. For Daddy Lumba, The situation appears to involve disagreements over authority and decisions surrounding the final arrangements. And that's why the matter ended up before the courts. Fans across Ghana and the diaspora have been closely following the developments. On social media, reactions have been emotional. Some fans say the dispute is disrespectful to the late legend. Others believe legal clarity is necessary before major decisions are made. Many people have called for peace and cooperation. They argue that the focus should remain on honoring Daddy Lumba's life and achievements. Radio shows and entertainment commentators have also weighed in. Some have urged the parties involved to settle the matter outside court. Because at the end of the day, the most important thing is preserving the legacy of a man whose music united millions. Now that the Accra High Court has adjourned the case, the next steps will depend on future hearings. The court will eventually review the arguments and decide whether the injunction should stand. Possible outcomes include allowing funeral plans to proceed, temporarily stopping the arrangements, encouraging mediation between the parties. Legal experts say mediation is often the best outcome in disputes like this. Because court battles can delay important ceremonies and increase public tensions, the story of Daddy Lumba is one of extraordinary talent, influence, and cultural impact. His music shaped generations. His voice told stories that resonated across Africa. And his legacy will live on long after this dispute is resolved. But the ongoing legal battle over his funeral reminds us that even in moments of grief, human conflicts can emerge. Fans everywhere now hope that the parties involved will find a solution, not for the sake of legal victory, but for the sake of honoring a legend. Because icons like Daddy Lumba deserve a farewell that reflects the joy, unity, and inspiration they brought to the world. As the dispute surrounding the funeral of Daddy Lumba continues to unfold, many people are asking a crucial question. What exactly are the legal arguments behind this case? According to legal experts, funeral disputes often revolve around who has the legal authority to make final decisions. In many countries, that authority typically falls to the closest family members, the executor of the estate, or individuals specifically named in a will. However, things can become complicated when there are multiple families involved. There are cultural traditions to consider, or when the